The Wednesday week is sponsored by the Riverside Cafe, new outside bar now open on match days.
There's a chance here, a great save. A turner from McClare. Might come. Terrific goal by Sheridan.
Brexman against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble saving that.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Wednesday week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsborough, and with me on the line, first of all, we have Mr. Marriott. Jamesy, old bean, how the devil are you?
I am pretty good this evening, although I had a slight accident earlier while slicing a lime. It kind of exploded all over my my jogging pants and left splatters. It looks dodgy, put it that way, but it is lime. It's lime.
Yeah. And Fudgy, there he is. How the devil are you?
I'm not bad. This is the second lime accident I've heard about in as many days.
They're a bugger, those limes, you know. You've got to watch out for them.
It's the citric acid that seems to be an issue because what was on the night of the Super Bowl, we thought it was really funny to place wedges of lime on people's shoulder and take a picture without them knowing about it and uploading it to social media, thinking we're hilarious. One chap took quite the exception, hoid the lime back from whence it came and hit a young lady square in the eye, and she ended up at the eye hospital while we were all drunk. So you be careful of them limes.
Should really be laughing.
With your lives. And 3 podcasts in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hoyland is becoming a podcast professional. How the devil are you, Eddie?
I don't know whether people can relate, but I've just had an accident. I was browsing some websites. If the wife asked, it was about limes, and I appear to have made something of a mess on my jogging bottoms. It was definitely the lime. It was the lime. It was the lime.
Lime porn.
No, that's lemon party. Very different.
Right then, let's crack on with some Sheffield Wednesday news. First of all, the Wigan game, boys and girls. Rather an odd one, this one, wasn't it? Because it was a scrappy affair. We weren't at our best, I think we can all agree. But did the conditions really behoove our best on the evening?
Behoove?
I think the important question is, was it the responsibility of the fans to G the players up, or was it the responsibility of the players to give the fans something to cheer?
I am
Lord Hillsborough, what do you think?
Sick to death of that conversation. To clear this up, though, to be perfectly honest, the away fans are amazing. I have no problems whatsoever with anybody that goes to watch football, as long as they're not stood at the shoulder pitch, causing players lots of problems and calling them lots of nasty names. Because personally, I believe that players need the mentality of, yes, I am ace, and it is our job to give them that mentality. And anybody that doesn't is a tit, in my view. And of course, lots of people disagree with my view, which is fine. Of course, it's fine. Those people are allowed to be wrong. But all that said, that's not the point I was trying to make on the evening. The point I was trying to make is we got a clean sheet, we got 3 points. And the meltdown on Twitter after getting 3 points and a clean sheet was horrendous, wasn't it?
I obviously did my normal trick of staying well away from Twitter, other than to give people an update on the snow conditions coming over the Snake Pass after the game. As I said, I now do whether we win, draw, lose, don't play. I kind of just stay away generally. Look, I can see both sides of the argument on this one because it wasn't a great performance. Yes, the pitch was definitely a factor. It was a pretty rubbish pitch. It's very true. I didn't really pay much attention to this until Carlos mentioned it after the game in his interview about the fact that we played on Tuesday night. The players got home at something like 3 in the morning. We played again on Friday night, which means they only had one kind of normal day of training in between. Wigan didn't have a midweek game at all. We had a couple of unexpected injuries. There were lots of reasons, but look at it this way, all right? Last season, we struggled against teams at the bottom. We lost at Charlton, we lost at MK Dons, Rotherham won at Hillsborough. There's a list of bad results. And if you rewind to back then, we talked about, and I think my exact words on the podcast were, we have to find a way to beat these teams. And at the time, it didn't matter whether it was pretty. We just needed to find a way. Now, if you'd have offered me back then that 12 months on, we could go to Wigan and win 1-0, but it'd be a pretty poor game, I'd have snatched your hand off. I'd have taken it. It doesn't. The performance against teams like Wigan doesn't really matter. And yeah, I get that we've improved the squad, and because of that, we expect better football. I get that. And, we've got to bear in mind it was game number 1 with Rhodes through the door. He wasn't match fit. Wigan played pretty close to him all night, although he did get an assist, and it was a very good assist. I'm looking at it like this, which is that we've gone to Bristol City and we've gone to Wigan. There were always going to be 2 difficult games. I wanted 6 points. We got 4. I'll accept that. Maybe the season starts here.
Yeah, I've got to agree. In writ large with you, James, I've got to agree. And we came away with 3 points in the bag, and that's what matters. It doesn't matter how they come, but very rarely will you go and watch any team, to be honest, but specifically Wednesday away from home, especially as we are now a top 6 team going to a bottom 3 team. And not only do we not play well, but we also debut our new super signing, the guy who's going to get all of the goals for us forever and ever and ever. And we produced 1 shot on target, which was deflected, and it was the goal. So I understand why Wednesday fans have gone absolutely mental with how bad the performance was, because it was bad. And I can't recall a time that Wednesday have ever turned in a performance as anemic as that, and with a stat line that shows that we had 1 shot. And still come away with 3 points. So this is uncharted territory for Wednesday fans. And so, of course, they can't believe that it's worth celebrating and it's worthy of praise. The fact that we
good points from the game. You say it was a boring game. I thought the defensive performance was brilliant.
Yeah, and Sasso was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah, Sasso was marvellous.
Maybe there is a footballer in there somewhere.
He was muscular. His hair looked good. He had great skin tone. He just wears that kit really well. But to be honest, I think the positives were a clean sheet and a solid performance from Westwood and the 2 centre-backs in front of him. I think the full-backs really let us down. Neither of them had a good game. And I think although we did enough in midfield to both contain Wigan, such as they needed containing, and produce a few chances of our own, I think I came away from this game thinking we miss not only Hutch, but even more than that, Kieran Lee. Yeah. He is the fulcrum around everything that we do that is good. He unlocks what Barry Bannan does best. He unlocks what Fernando Forestieri does best. And I can only imagine the sort of effect that he would be able to have on Jordan Rhodes in terms of the freedom he will give Jordan Rhodes to just go and be a striker. And that, for me, is the reason that we haven't played well recently, and the reason why Friday night looked so anemic. Bloody hell. Any other team that was better than Wigan, and they were pretty shambolic, would have had us for breakfast, wouldn't they?
You see, that's not an argument in my book, because any other team would play completely different tactics. Wigan are a very good defensive team. They locked up and essentially were trying to get us on a break. Until
Wigan are second bottom. They're not a good defensive team at all. They're second bottom because they've been getting beat.
But they don't concede many goals.
They were poor, though. They were a poor team, and they were there for the taking. That period towards the back end of the second half, when it was the only time in the game where I kind of looked at it and thought, we're in control of this. We're in control of this game. It's just a matter of time. We should have done more with that period. You know, we should have been out of sight by half time when we've got that period where we're on top. I think all that's true. I come away and I'm probably I'm a bit stupid in terms of how positive I try and be about these kind of things, but you've got to bear in mind we are playing a team there in Wigan who, although they were poor, they did look like they were fighting for their lives. And sometimes at this point of the season, when everyone's got something to play for still, Teams like Wigan are just as difficult to go and play as if we were going to Leeds or we're going to Huddersfield. The teams at the top end of the table and teams at the bottom end of the table, they're different games of football, but when you're on a pitch like that and you've had one day to train, it can be a bit of a level of that. And I think that there's a lot to be said for if, let's imagine that you're a Wednesday fan, for whatever reason you didn't see the game and you went on the Sky Sports app after the game and on your phone and looked and you saw that we won 1-0 at Wigan, you'd be absolutely pleased as punch. It's 3 points. Granted, I don't think we can play like that for the rest of the season and get promoted or even probably finish in the playoffs. But as a one-off game in those circumstances against that team, I'll still take it.
They won every second ball, though, didn't they, James? You know, the number of times where we got the ball safely away from a Wigan attack and the number of times it came straight back at us, or the number of times we would be in possession and we'd play generally a fairly pointless, hopeless, hopeful ball, in towards an attacking part of the pitch, and the second ball would drop to them. And especially second half, we left David Jones on an island and expected him to just deal with everything that was coming at him. And he didn't very well, particularly.
I don't disagree with any of that. I just think, can you really take some of those pointers and apply them to what happens next in the regards of how much of that is just a bit of a one-off in the circumstances? You know, we aren't the same team without Louvens and Lees together. You know, that's a given. For what, you know, we kept a clean sheet. Sasso played all right, but there's something about those two together. There's also something about having Hutch in front of them. It does something in the game. And actually, the one thing that I'd really criticise off the back of the Wigan game, and I feel really awful doing this because it's someone that I kind of feel like I've stuck up for quite a bit, but. I've said time and time again that I see something there that is going to come good, and I'm just not seeing it. Is Adam Reach, who I thought had a really poor game on Friday, and the last few games that he's played in, whether it's because he's doesn't really know what his role in the team's supposed to be, I don't know, but he looks out of sorts. When the ball comes near him, he looks almost frightened of it. And it hit me on Friday when, you know, Reach was having a bit of a stinker at times during that game. And it just occurred to me, and I thought, you know what? I saw more in Morgan Fox on his debut at Bristol City than I think I've seen out of Adam Reach altogether in his time at Wednesday so far. And I want him to do well. I want him to come good. But it's not happening at the moment, and I'm not sure he deserves a place in the team right now.
Did you notice,
though? Did you let him know your feelings there, James? Did you call him lots of ugly names to make sure that he was aware of your exact feelings about his particular position in your heart? I
did what all good fans should do, and I put it onto a note on my iPhone and thought, I'll mention that in the podcast during the week.
Did you notice that throughout the game, what we do, and you'll see, especially, you know, Jack Hunt on the right, but also Poodle on the left, that, you know, we generally play overlapping fullbacks, don't we? Mm-hmm. How many times on Friday night did Adam Reach have the ball and you'd see Jack Hunt bombing in behind him and then just standing about 10 feet behind him? There's got to have been a reason. There's got to have been something that had been ordered by the coaching staff to say, we are not going to go with fullbacks bombing on over the top of our wingers.
If you listen back to last week, Eddie, I said exactly the same about the other side of the pitch.
Yeah.
I noticed the same thing. There's no Gary Neville, David Beckham crossovers.
But historically, especially at Hillsborough, we've always done it, haven't we? Because
Lee Briscoe loved them.
No, I mean historically with this side, not just Lee Briscoe. I would love to have Lee Briscoe back. Let's be honest, but historically with this side, you know, we have used both. Both Poodle, but also Adam Reach when he's played that role, and we use Hunt and Ramon the exact same way, so that, you know, they bomb on past and we get the other side turned. That hasn't happened recently at all, and certainly on Friday night there were times when almost Jack Hunt had an elastic band preventing him from going any further, and then he would drop back in. And I wonder whether there was something about the way that Wigan were playing where Carlos had said, we're going to prevent them getting over the top of us and hitting on the break by ensuring that our fullbacks sit in behind our wingers. And I think maybe Adam Reach lost something because he was expecting to be able to play Hunting And as a result, he didn't really know what to do because he is kind of that hybrid wing back / wide midfielder. So I don't know. I wouldn't have a go at Adam Reach for that. I think he hasn't been great the last 2 or 3 games, but I still think he shows enough for us to know that he is a classy player. I just think you got to use him correctly, and I wonder whether we have been doing recently.
Right. Why is it working so well for Wallace when it's not working so well for Reach on the other side though? Is there that big a gulf between our left and right hand side? Wallace has scored 3 in 4, and as we'll come to later, has won Player of the Month, and he's 32, 33 years old.
Do you think Reach gets a bit more respect from the other teams though? Think, oh, this is a £5 million player, we need to keep an eye on this chap and keep him quiet. Whereas a 32-year-old on the other side of the pitch, maybe not keep an eye on him as much.
And also, Wallace is a pure winger, isn't he? And you know what? If we rewind back 6 weeks, people were saying Wallace has lost it. He's dropped off from last year, and Reach was the guy who looked to be the attacking threat. And I wonder, even Carlos mentioned it in one of his post-match interviews quite recently. He was saying, Ross Wallace, people have said he's had bad games. He has had the game that he has been told to play because everyone has a role, and it's not about the individual, it's about the team. And I really wonder whether they've kind of shifted it because Wallace is in quite good form at the moment, whether they've said, right, Ross Wallace, you've got license to do what you need to do. And on the other side, Forestieri is going to get the license to go, high up the pitch to the left, and Reach has to sit in a little bit more. And I wonder whether it's just not a great fit for him at the moment, and that's why he looks a bit underwhelming.
Maybe you're right. I just felt there were times on Friday where even down to his first touch was just wayward. And I appreciate he's got a £5 million price tag on him, but I don't care how much a player costs. Ross Wallace costs nothing. You've just got to do it. You've got to do it on the pitch, and I've just don't feel I've been seeing it from Adam Reach, and it's a shame because I want him to do well. I really want him to do well. I just feel at the moment he kind of stood out a little bit as the weak link for me on Friday.
There was certain occasions where he was getting absolutely mullered by the opposition as well. There were a few decent. I mean, the one where he brought it out of the defence really, really well. His second touch was a bit heavy actually, and then he just got clattered. And there was maybe 3 or 4 occasions where that happened as well. So yeah. I do think he was sort of targeted by Wigan. But hey, we'll see, shall we, chaps?
Listen, you know what? I've been chewing my fist off listening to you guys chat about that game there.
I can hear you revving up in the background.
I know. I've been trying, but this game didn't annoy me as much as the Bristol City one. As ridiculous as that sounds, maybe because we came away with 3 points, and that might change my mind on it a little bit. And
is that because you have to spend the evening with me in Bristol? Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. But I had too much book come. So, with Bristol City, I was getting annoyed. Eddie picked up on the fact that the fullbacks don't overlap, and that might be because we're playing this 4-3-3 or 4-5-1, however you want to do it, and the attacking midfielders, as it were, on the right and left, are encouraged not to get to the byline and ping one in. It's to come inside like Rivaldo used to do in the 90s, that type of thing. Maybe it's that. I believe, like Eddie says, that there is an instruction there that they have been told to do. However, the Wigan was truly awful. I mean, it was awful. And you're completely right, Eddie, again, with the disjoint between the 3 phases of the field was incredibly poor. Jordan Rhodes is up there, and I agree, not match fit, but we know he's capable of scoring goals, so we're not pressing the panic button after that performance. But he was just on his own. He was just tottering around on his Jack Jones. And that defender, there was no point in lumping it up to him. And Jordan Rhodes is a big lad, and he's a physical fella, but he didn't win anything. He didn't win a thing because
he did, because he won the flick on for a goal.
He got the assist, didn't he?
Well, how many was that in how many? You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter. He was the one that what we needed to win, and I think that's where myself and other Wednesdayites are struggling. There.
I get that, but I think what the issue is with the Wednesdayites, and it's all the things that we mentioned before. But this isn't just one crap performance; it's 3.5 months. Sorry, 3 months. 3 months and 1 week is how long we've been playing very average.
Newcastle match accepted.
Yeah, I waxed lyrical about 3 performances, and that was Huddersfield, Newcastle and Barnsley. Apart from that, in the last 3 months, we've been distinctly average. Now, is that because of... don't get me wrong, Lord H, because I know what you're going to say. We're still 6th, and we've managed to do that by not playing our best, and I get that. Don't get me wrong. But have people worked us out, or is the spark not there anymore? And I think
people have worked us out, and that's why their tactics have changed. Last season, there was a wonderful write-up from a chap, I forget his name, football writer on Twitter, and that puts far more eloquently what I've been trying to waffle on about for the last week. Last season, people didn't expect this from us, and they didn't respect Sheffield Wednesday at all, and they came at us and attacked us. And that attack that we were given created so much space on the pitch for us to run into that it was brilliant. And we just
was that the article that James shared?
Yes, I believe it was.
Was that the thing that Matt wrote? Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
very well written piece of work.
Very
and we should tweet that from the Wednesday week account actually, because I think it was I think James, you wrote the caveat on it that said a very balanced view of what we believe to be going wrong at Sheffield Wednesday, and I thought that was spot on. I think he was a lot more, like you say, a lot more eloquent than the way
waffling.
than the way we can put it across. But
and that's the thing. But now we have to create, in my personal opinion, we have to create that space, and people have disagreed with this on Twitter as well, which is fine. I have no problem with people disagreeing with what I say. I'm used to it. Lady H tells me every single day that I'm wrong about something. But in my opinion, when we're seeing now at the back, we're passing it backwards, we're backing it sideways. That's been a big thing this season, that it's sort of sticking to the back. And I personally think that the thinking behind that is to try and draw the team out to come and get the ball, which will then create the space for us to play into. Because
and they're not doing it.
And people are like Wigan locking up, and we don't have the space to play this wonderful flowing footballing, because after last season, people thought, oh, crikey, you know what? Wednesday aren't that bad, We best be a bit careful with it.
No, I get that. I agree with you, but I think Bannan isn't...
This season was Newcastle, and that was when we had this wonderful game.
Because they thought they were Newcastle, and I get that. I get that, but you've got players like Bannan who are spanking these big long Hollywood balls. Whereas, and I agree with you, I think Kieran Lee is the linchpin in a lot of this. Where Kieran Lee plays some beautiful little triangles in the middle of the park, some little 2-yard, 3-yard passes, lovely little 1-2s. Bannan is very good at those when he plays them, but he doesn't play them enough for me. He wants to do a big long slap to hit this geezer on the far line, and they can cut inside, and then they've got all that space to run at. And if teams are sitting back, that is absolutely bloody useless. Because you've just hit it to a geezer who sat in front of 4 people who were there to try to stop him. And that's where it's falling apart for me. There is no link up between the areas of the pitch. You've got the midfield trying to spank Hollywood ball or kick 10 bells out of somebody, or you've got the fullbacks that don't want to overlap on the wingers, because we haven't really got wingers. We've got attackers that we've stuck out the wing because we've got 10 strikers. Do you know what I mean? It's just not working, and there is something missing, and I believe it is Kieran Lee. And,
there is no box-to-box midfielder at the moment.
There isn't.
And that's what Kieran Lee was.
And I think that Wigan performance itself was just another average performance since the early part of November.
Doesn't matter. 3 points, clean sheet. Doesn't make a tit of a difference on that to me. Honestly, does not. And I know I obviously watched the game. The fans that were there were amazing. Obviously, James, Eddie, when Semedo came on, how beautiful was that?
You know what? That made a cold, wet, awful game of football something that I will always remember. Because, you know what? There's no room for sentiments in football at times. We know, look at the team that we've got. Could we have imagined having those players even 3 years ago? Our favourites then are no longer our favourites now. But something transcends being good enough to be a fan favourite. So, at the moment, we've got players who are good enough to get songs in their honour. And once upon a time, Jose Semedo was arguably our best player. And he got a great song in his honour. The fact that we are singing his name no longer has anything to do with his ability to play either holding midfielder or at centre-back. It's about the fact that he is one of us. He has told us he's one of us. He's demonstrated he's one of us. His heart and soul is with Sheffield Wednesday. He is as much of a fan of Sheffield Wednesday as Gary Megson, as Howard Wilkinson, as David Hurst, probably even more so than Hursty. This guy epitomises where we've come from and what we are now. And it was amazing to be there and to hear for the last, probably, 8 minutes of the game? The Wednesday fans, bereft of any other encouragement to sing anything else, sang their hearts out for Jose Semedo, and for him at the end of the game to come up to the away end and do these huge heart symbols showing what it meant to him. You know what? To be part of that will do me. That will do me, because that's what it is to be a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and that is what it is to encourage Sheffield Wednesday players to love this team as much as we do.
Absolutely.
And we don't always get it right, but the value of doing it, and you've copped a lot of flack on Twitter this week, my lord,
Me?
for saying that actually the fans need to get behind the players. Look at what happens when we do get behind the players. You convert a guy who is a random Portuguese dude, and you turn him into the biggest champion for our club that you will ever get, to the point where there is not an infinitesimally small chance that Cristiano Ronaldo will end his career at Sheffield Wednesday because his best mate says, yeah, come on, man, you got to do this. So, yeah, I think, if you ever doubted the effect that you can have on the Sheffield Wednesday players by backing them, listen to what Jose Semedo says, listen to that crowd singing that song and giving that experience to Jose Semedo. That is what it is to be a football fan, and that's what it is to be part of this Wednesday family. The one great thing that I took away from that game was that moment, and that will live with me for a long time, because it meant everything to us to say thank you to Jose, but to him to hear that again 5 years after he was really relevant to our team.
Do we know who Padil's best mate is? We need to find out.
If it's Nedved, we're all right.
Is it Hamshik?
I think we need a Padil song quickly, just in case.
He's not got enough syllables for a song. I'm going to sound like a grumpy old man on this, but I don't 100% disagree with Eddie. But I think a lot of singing Semedo's name for the last 20 minutes just smacked of boredom for me, because people were bored.
Shut up, your dirty.
You're wrong. Thanks, Fudge, but you're wrong.
I had a take on this, which I tweeted the other day, which is that I was singing along with everyone. I love Jose Semedo as much as anyone does, and I feel like I'm becoming this guy's greatest fan now. But Ross Wallace scores 3 and 4 goals, and people barely even mention his name. Semedo comes on for 7 minutes. I'm not even sure he touched the ball, and people sing his song for until some fans were halfway back over bloody Woodhead, and the fans in the ground still singing Jose Semedo's name. You think I don't know what do you have to do?
I love Ross Wallace. He's rapidly becoming one of my favourites.
Yeah, definite. We need a song. Why haven't we?
We need a Wallace song.
Why haven't we embraced Ross Wallace? Because he scored goals at absolutely critical times as well, hasn't he? He scored screamers, but he scored iconic goals. So is it just the fact that we just haven't come up with one yet? So Lord H, over to you.
We'll leave that with you.
I've been working on Greg Lubin's song this week, actually. Hopefully we'll see that soon. So if you have any suggestions, ladies and gents, please do answer us on probably not a postcard, but maybe on the website, or probably over there on Twitter as well. And we will be happy to produce your ideas and turn them into wonderful, wonderful tunes.
No, I was going to say on that subject as well, and I was talking to someone in the toilet after the game about this on Friday night. It's always awkward when you're having a chat with someone and you're both holding your bits. But raised the point about the fact that, Chansiri now has spent, something like £20 million on players for us in the last 12 months. And we don't sing his name. We barely mutter a thing about him in the on the terraces. And yet Milan Mandaric, we sing his name every single game. What's that about?
There was a chap on Twitter.
What does this guy have to do to get a song?
You did put this out on Twitter, Jay, and we did repeat it. There was a chap on Twitter, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I cannot for the life of me find the tweet because I've had so much nonsense through this week. I'm whizzing through my messages right now. I apologise, sir. I cannot remember your name. But the basis of the song was, Day Fun, Chancery, and that's it. That's all we need, and we just need some other words for that, which I thought was brilliant. So yes, we'll work on that one as well.
Oh, to the tune of "Don't Stop Believing."
Don't stop believing. There it is. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He's just a tutor boy. No, we'll take this offline. We'll work on this.
Here's a question. Where would you find all of the following in one place? Chairs, tables, beer, Vic, James, more beer, Dickie Owl, Eddie, more beer, and the rest of the Wednesday week gang. That's right, it's the Riverside Cafe's new outside bar. All of your favourite lagers, ciders, soft drinks and hand pump ales are now available outside. Come and see the gang and give it a try. The Riverside Cafe's new outside bar, now open on match days.
Right then, ladies and gents, so let's crack on with some Wednesday news, shall we? And although Mr. Dickey isn't here this evening, chaps, I think we should break into the rumour lounge because there is a last little bit of sort of
Rumour lounge.
The rumour lounge.
It'll make up sort of what kind of idea this rumour lounge wants to be one day. But certainly, one last little sort of bit of transfer news is that Mr. Dielna has finally popped off on loan, hasn't he? Bless him. A bit of a mixed bag, Miss Neil. Now, you know me, I'm one for getting behind the team. Of course I am. But this chap had more than one occasion slighted the club on Twitter. And after a fashion, I can kind of understand why. He wasn't given a squad number. And then apparently he wasn't allowed to leave. And then there was that argument as well. But he did score a belting goal against Blackburn that time, didn't he?
He did
he leave?
Yeah.
As he left the club with his shorts at kind of half-mast? As he had basically never pulled them up since that goal at Blackburn.
He had questionable fashion sense throughout, didn't he, really?
Put a little tweet out there saying the good, the bad and the ugly. The good, Blackburn goal. The bad, nasty tweets. The ugly, well, pick a photo of him, basically, because some of that fashion is absolutely French, shall we say. Bless him. But I don't think... He was never going to get back into the team, was he? I don't think, boys and girls. No, he wasn't. So, yes, good old Mr. Downleth. It's only on loan. His contract runs out at the end of the season, so I don't think we're going to see him back, are we?
My apologies for not responding sooner there, Lloyd Hills, but I was sat Googling Dapon Chancery to see if I come up with some hilarious lyrics to Don't Stop Believing. You're going to have to leave me on that one. Give me 10 minutes.
No
Okay, so the reason why I didn't respond was that I honestly didn't give a shit about Claude Dielna.
You were looking at lime porn.
I was just getting a bottle of beautiful O'Hara's out of the fridge. It's all I've got left from my Christmas case of beer.
Done well to make it last till February.
Dark chocolate and vanilla flavours combine with the mild mocha aroma. Sounds good.
Are you talking about your beer, or are you talking about Claude Dielna?
Yeah, Claude Dielna. That's his shorts. Can we talk about the proper news this evening? The thing that actually really matters, which is the fact that Wigan and Norwich have drawn 2-2.
That's wonderful.
Which
Double
is
a brace for Omar Bogle.
I wonder what... I mean, we go to Wigan and lose and our fans go into meltdown. I mean, there will be Norwich fans throwing themselves off motorway bridges right now at the fact that they've gone to Wigan and not even won and conceded 2 goals.
Yeah, fair point.
See, good team. I kept telling everybody. Nobody will listen. Wigan are a decent team. Yes, they're obviously in the bottom 3, but still, very good team. Very impressed. And of course, it stopped Norwich from leapfrogging us into the playoff spots as well.
Yeah,
so yes,
there was a
5 points clear if we win on Friday. 5 points.
No, it can't be. There was a point there. Oh yeah, we should be. Yeah, actually, yeah. There was a point there where we dropped into 7th before Omar Bogle Rice MPs scored his brace.
I think that might have been racist. I apologise if it was.
No, I'm doing an impression of Bo Selector. It's fine. It's all right. Kiss my teeth.
But no, brilliant news. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Mr. Bogle. And your bread is on its way. We've not given anybody any bread for ages, have we? That used to be a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Get more bread out.
Get your bread out. Back to the Wednesday news. And of course, Man of the Month this month has been given to Mr. Wallace, which I don't think we can argue with. Of course, there's always the usual people in there with a shout as well. Westwood, just standardly brilliant now, isn't he? Absolutely fantastic. I also think that Leuven's has been really, really good as well just recently. And obviously it's not a Hollywood position, is it, centre-back? So I don't think he's ever going to sort of reach the heights of Man of the Month. But Wallace has had a fantastic time, as James mentioned earlier, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a great. I mean, he's I mentioned it before. He scored 3 in 4, and he's shown a level of consistency, I think, that we've really struggled to see through this month. And I think he's a fair choice and fair dues to Wednesday fans for voting for him, because it must be the first time that he's won this award, because he tends to kind of be not quite the forgotten guy, but you feel like he's someone that doesn't need that arm round his shoulder. He doesn't need that recognition. You know, we kind of think of Fessy as someone that kind of needs that pat on the back. And Wallace just kind of gets on with stuff. So I think it's really nice for him and well-deserved this month. I think he's had a cracking month.
Absolutely. I mean, I noticed he's always got the same lovely little jumping fist goal celebration as well. I remember when Alan Shearer used to do his finger in the air thing. Wallace has got the one celebration he does. He runs into the corner and does a little hop and puts his fist in the air, which is beautiful. Love it. Absolutely fantastic.
But he also does that kind of bum slide thing where his shorts go like quite awkwardly up his crack.
Yeah, they do.
That's not ideal.
Oh.
It depends which way you look at it, doesn't it?
Can't be hygienic.
Yeah, I don't want to look at it that way. I'm going to be honest.
Right then, ladies and gentlemen. So, other little bits of Wednesday news. Obviously, Fudge, you mentioned that Bannan has not been pulling up any trees just recently, but apparently he's been having a little chat with Mr. Howson over there at the Star, and there has been a bit of a secret injury problem with Mr. Bannan as well. Apparently, he's had some foot issues underneath his foot, and he's been having pain-killing injections for this little problem, which is why we might have noticed a little bit of a drop-off on form. This is not a secret that his form's dropped, but can we use this as not so much an excuse, but a reasoning as to why we've not seen the best of Mr. Bannan this season?
Is the flip side to this that whose decision was it that he carried on playing even though he you know, if this is the reason why he's maybe not been at his best? So if we're saying we accept the fact that he's not been putting in 100% performances and it's because he's been playing with an injury, should he not have been not playing those games and recovering from his injury, considering the fact that we have quite a few midfielders? I'm not sure whether or not I feel it's great that he's battled through, or whether or not I just think, well, hang on, someone's made a really silly decision somewhere in there.
Well, apparently it's the same thing that's essentially happened with Kieran Lee as well, isn't it? He's had this injury issue for a while, and he just could no longer go on. I'll be honest with you, my first thought when I first saw this is, well, obviously, as Mr. Bannan is injured, he should have time to rest and recuperate. Clearly, Bannan's not the type of chap that's going to want to do that. I think we can all agree on that, can't we, boys and girls? But is it more pointed to the fact that does Carlos have confidence in the other 5,000 midfielders we have? Obviously, Abdi's been out and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But does it really point to the fact that Carlos might think, oh, you know what, these other players, even an injured Bannan is better than what we've got left? Is that a bit worrying?
That's a real worry, isn't it?
You know what? It doesn't even seem like he's playing injured, in the sense that, you know, he's not limited in the way that he plays. I worry generally that Carlos clearly has his favourites in midfield, and there are players who have a lot to offer if used correctly, that aren't getting a chance. And I would always think it's better to play players who are fit and give even key players who carried injuries chance to recover. But I don't know. Do we rock the boat now? We're not a juggernaut by any means. We're not moving anywhere closer to automatic, but at the same time, we're quite happily containing our position and maintaining our position in the playoffs. So I don't know. I would hate us to get to a point where we ride players so hard that when it gets to the real business end of the season, we lose them because the injuries finally take their toll, and we end up with players who haven't had a chance to bed in. I think Alman Abdi is the perfect example. Clearly a classy player. He hasn't had enough chance to be part of this team. And if we then need to rely on him later on in the season, I don't think that he will be a success. Whereas if we play him occasionally now, he could play himself into the team.
He's coming back from injury as well, isn't he? That has to be said. Obviously, he's not at the greatest time. We have this wonderful thing at Sheffield Wednesday at the moment where people come in and just be injured for a long time. Obviously, we've seen Irby has been out playing for the with the youths as well. He had a run out. I saw a few pictures tweeted by Miss Howson as well. A few other people sort of on the way back, Mr. Hooper, etc., etc., etc. And obviously, the biggest thing of this is Matthias. We've not seen him. We don't know where he is. He's injured. He gets better. He gets injured again. And of course Mello, who very similar sort of thing. Just this thing where we seem to buy these players and we're really excited about them, and they're just not very well, are they? So I don't know what kind of medical they have before they come to the club, but clearly Ben Marshall's been taking up all the medical.
Yeah, he's on all the machines, isn't he? That's what it is. He's taking up everything.
He's broken it all, the chuffer. Right, so yes, obviously it is nice either way that this has come out, and we know that Bannan hopefully should be back to full strength, and we can see him doing what Bannan does best. Right then, ladies and gents, on with some other Wednesday news. Now, we have got a bit of a Wednesdayite in need of some assistance, boys and girls. So prick up your ears and get ready for this. Mr. Ian Toothill is a very brave chap who in 2015 was diagnosed with bowel cancer. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be terminal, and he only has several months left to live, according to his doctors. Now, this incredibly brave gent has decided that in his sort of remaining months, he is going to scale Mount Everest in aid of charity. Of course, the reason we're mentioning this is although Mr. Toothill lives down south in that there London, he is a big Wednesday. He's from Sheffield, and I would urge all Wednesdayites to jump on his page and get your shekels out, ladies and gents, and let's really support this guy. Now, he is a mountain climber. This is not his first foray up the peaks, shall we say. But this is just amazing, isn't it? Fancy having this as your final hurrah, if you like.
It's pretty amazing. Now, I heard a bit about this on Radio Sheffield this evening on Football Heaven, because one of his best mates, Richard, had tweeted about it earlier and then rang up the show and talked about it. And it's I mean, it's a remarkable story. I want to say it's an amazing story, and you feel reluctant to kind of say like ridiculously positive things about something that stems from something that's just so sad, really. But yeah, what's happening is that he's trying to raise. So he's set up a GoFundMe page, and he's trying to raise just under £30,000, which will pay for his trip up Everest. And what he said is that if, obviously he's a big Wednesday fan, and his plan was when he got to the top of Everest to put a Sheffield Wednesday flag at the top. He said if a Sheffield United fan donates £1,000, then he'll put a United flag up instead. And lo and behold, what happens? That a United fan donated £1,000. And so he's now going to have to put a United flag up instead. And you know, we have our intercity rivalry, and there's times at which it pales into insignificance and becomes something completely irrelevant. And this is absolutely one of those times, because absolute, you know, maximum respect to that United fan who's done that. His mate did say actually he's now revised it and said if there's a Wednesday fan that will donate £10,000, then he'll change it back to a Wednesday flag. So you know, I will just put it out there. If there's anyone out there that's got, you know, 10 grand sitting around, nothing better to do, it's a brilliant cause and a lovely story. If you want to look it up on GoFundMe and maybe you want to make a donation yourself, it's the address is gofundme.com/climbing Everest for cancer. I think also as well, if you hashtag climbing Everest for cancer, then you'll find some of the backstory there as well. And I would like to say, because I do hold the purse strings to the sponsorship account of the Wednesday week, we are going to be making a donation to this one ourselves.
Absolutely. And if you do a little online Google search as well for Ian Toothill, I'm sure you'll see all the information on there as well. A brilliant story.
Presumably, the deal with the flag is that he's going to get really close to the top and get ready to plant the United flag, and then he's going to drop just slightly and just plant the United flag, you know, maybe like a third of the way up, and then that flag will just stay there for 6 years. Is that?
Yep.
Is that the plan?
And then put a Wednesday flag slightly above that and a little message in between saying "mind the gap." I think is probably the plan.
across like a mountain crevice.
Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, amazing cause, amazing idea to do it, and kudos to the United fan that has done that. And you know what? If he when he gets up there and he plants that flag, I won't be begrudging it whatsoever. That's a fantastic thing.
Absolutely. Right, then, listeners, other little bits of Wednesday news this week, basically nonsense. However, one really important thing is we now have new binmen at Wednesdays, ladies and gentlemen. We have signed a 2-year contract with a brand new recycling company, and Sheffield Wednesday will now be a 0% waste to landfill football club, which will heartily G up all the, what's a nice word to put this? Environmental folks out there. I was trying not to be disrespectful then. Hope it didn't come across that way as well. So yes, although there was one thing that I noticed, that in the little sort of press write-up, the chap that's in charge of the bin men, Mr. Richard Webster, said that Sheffield Wednesday are a very prestigious football club. Who's not told him to say massive? Surely this is in the press pack for anybody.
I was going to say that's some very poor preparation on somebody's behalf there. It's probably all these sackings behind the board that Chansiri keeps doing. You know, these people that come in. I'm blaming Glenn Roeder for that one.
This got me in a bit of trouble the other day because I spotted it. It's DJB Recycling, isn't it? Which I don't know why I find it so hard to say, but I really do. And they tweeted it, so I quoted the tweet and just said, because it said something about how they've announced a new waste management partnership with SWFC. So I just quoted it and put, they're taking Magoogan and Nuiu then, yeah, and got a load of stick back about why are people so disrespectful to Ati Nuiu, and I'm like, come on, it's clearly a joke. It's clearly a joke.
No, you don't make jokes about attitude, James. Have you not learned this yet? It's just wrong and bad, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
All right. Well, they could take Magoogan. He's shit.
I got a similar bit of grief because I just wrote "get in the bin" because you know it's a thing that I say, and I thought it'd be quite funny. And no, I got a lot of grief going. They're just a company trying to make some money, and you know we should get behind them. I think get behind them. They collect bloody bins. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't give a shit. It was DJC picked it up the week after. I'm not bothered.
but they are a family-run company, and they are a local business, and they have got lovely big. Well, there was a lovely big Wednesday badge on the side of the skip, which I didn't know if that was brilliant or a bit weird being on the side of a skip. Either way,
as soon as the Sheffield United fans pick that up, then yeah, they'll reconsider that.
Whether you're celebrating a birthday, a wedding or anniversary, maybe you've passed your driving test, or you've landed a new job. Well, whatever your reason for a party, the Riverside Cafe is the perfect location on Catch Bar Lane overlooking Hillsborough Stadium. To inquire about hiring us for your function, call 07989 856 054 or 014 232 6121.
Right then, ladies and gents, so let's crack on. Of course, we have 2 matches in the upcoming week. The first one on a Friday evening against Birmingham, who have been really, really bad just recently, but did manage to sort of scrape a 1-0 draw against Fulham, who have been decent just recently, haven't they, Fulham? But Birmingham have just been shocking all the way through January. They didn't win a game. They drew 2 and lost 5 or something ridiculous like that, and they really have been bad. Zola has been having an awful time there, hasn't he?
It's not been happening for him as yet, has it? And this is one of the things I've quoted in arguments with people over the last few weeks who've said, oh, it's time for Carlos to go, as much as I understand why there's people saying it because they feel the tactics are wrong, and when the tactics are wrong, you've only really got one option you can go with. But Birmingham changed their manager, who I think was a pretty all-round well-respected guy. I think fans of most other clubs in the Championship were looking in there saying he's done a pretty remarkable job. They were absolutely terrible when what was it? Was it Clark who was their manager before?
Gary. Oh, sorry, Clark.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
Gary
yeah.
Rowett, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
they were terrible under Clark. They escaped relegation by the skin of their teeth on the last day of the season. Gary Rowett comes in and did a miraculous job there. And their subsequent form under Zola would suggest that actually they're really not very good. Rowett just managed to get the very best out of an average group of players. It's not a game I'm particularly worried about, in the sense, the fact that, like I say, I actually think that we found out that Birmingham are a fairly average team. That said, a bit of confidence can do wonders for a team. The fact that they've got their first win, it's difficult to interpret whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for us, because maybe it means that they're not going to be playing with quite as much intensity, that desperation to get that first win. On the other hand, they're going to have that little bit of confidence. I think it really just comes down to us doing a really professional job again on Friday. I think that our home form has still been pretty good this season, and with Jordan Rhodes having spent another week with the team now, not having a midweek game this week, lots of opportunity to maybe try a few new things. I'm hoping that we'll maybe see a slightly more adventurous style of play on Friday, and that will hopefully lead to a much more kind of positive performance, and hopefully lots of goals. That's what we want.
Lots and lots and lots of lovely, big, juicy Jordan Rhodes type goals. It'd be lovely, wouldn't it?
We spend a lot of time, don't we, on this podcast, looking forward to the games that are upcoming and earmarking them and saying this is the one. This is the one where someone's going to get a spanking. All of the stars are aligning. Jordan Rhodes has now got another week under his belt as part of the team. His match fitness is getting better. He's definitely going to score at least one, probably two, maybe even three. We're going to absolutely smash this. 12 goals. We do not have a right to expect anything more than a good performance. Having said that, Birmingham can't buy a win at the moment. I don't think Zola is the answer. If he's the answer, you're asking the wrong questions. We need to go and impose ourselves. I say this every time we play at home. We have the opportunity to really impose our style of play on this. And you know what? Get them turned. We say it an awful lot as well. Get them turned. If we can actually whip balls in to Jordan Rhodes, and even if there's a chance to get Sam Winnell on there and whip balls in, get them in dangerous positions, and let's try and get some shots on target and get some chances that are forcing the goalkeeper into action. That would be an improvement on Friday night. And actually, I don't think Birmingham are much of a better side than Wigan were. Wigan were very well organised and they were very well motivated. I think Birmingham have got better players. I don't think they're as motivated because they're settling into a mid-table season. These are the games that we absolutely need to win. So I'd expect us to come out strong. I'd expect us to come out aggressively. And I'd expect us to have a single-minded focus, which is get Jordan Rhodes goals.
And who could possibly disagree, Eddie? Oh boy, nobody, absolutely nobody. And of course, once we've trounced Birmingham 15-0, we've got Blackburn as well. And again, Blackburn have been having, yes, they're in the bottom three. They're not very good at the moment, but they have had a bit of a mini resurgence themselves just recently, haven't they? They beat QPR on Saturday. Had a bit of a tussle with Leeds, ended up losing 2-1. But they did sort of beat Blackpool in the FA Cup as well and drew with Birmingham Saturday previous as well. So they are trying, aren't they, from Blackburn? And it has to be said, some of their players must be on still huge amounts of money. But dare we say this is one we should be winning, or is that just going to come back and slap us in the face again?
I see where you're coming from in saying that. I'll summarise this as simple as this, which is that between now and the end of the season, we have to win all our home games. That, for me, that's a given. And I don't care whether or not it's Newcastle that we're playing, or it's Blackburn that we're playing, or it's Birmingham that we're playing. We have to win them. And if that's an arrogant way of looking upon it, then so be it. We need to go out on Tuesday and do whatever it takes to win that game. They're a poor team this season, Blackburn. I have enough faith in Carlos and the guys to figure out the right game plan to be able to beat them. And I'm sure that Jordan Rhodes will be looking at that one with anticipation, thinking that's a good chance to to kind of show his former employers what they let go. So for me, it is a game that we should win, but I would say that whoever it's against.
It's it's a lovely Valentine's Day for anyone going to watch. Settle down, get snuggled up in your seat, and get intimate with Vincent Sasso, almost certainly starting in central defence. So I can't wait. I will be spending all my time making eyes at Vincent from my seat in the North Stand. And you know what? If there is going to be a satisfying climax, then I really hope that Vincent is engaged and part of that.
Just a word to the cleaning staff at the end of that game. If you do find any limes with big holes cut out of them, don't look inside it. There'll be an issue.
Brilliant. And of course, it does have to be said, these games are very, very important. Carlos, again, has been out in the press saying that we need to get behind the team at Hillsborough. So if players are making mistakes, if there is a missed kick, if something does flop up ever so slightly, I implore you, ladies and gentlemen, please, please, please cheer the chaps on and get behind the team. We've seen it before. We've seen what happens. Carlos said this last season. I can remember Bannan making a mistake and everybody just cheered and just got behind him. And that's exactly what we need, because we need everybody to be pushing in the right direction till the end of this season. And if anyone wants to disagree with me, Chuffy, send it on Twitter. I'm used to it this week anyway. Right then, legend. That's going to bring us to an end of this week's show. Chaps, do you have any little bits before we...
Whoa. Sorry, we have a new feature that we need to introduce from this week. The Rumour Lounge may be gone and forgotten.
The Rumour Lounge.
But our new feature is Competition Corner.
Competition Corner.
That's a lot less
that was written by me.
It was lovely. It's a lot less salacious than Dickie Al going, the Rumour Lounge in my ears. That is...
Do you want me to do it again? I'm not sure if I can remember it. But...
Fire away, James.
Competition Corner. That's the shortened version as we go into the ad break.
Is that just the Blue
through.
Peter theme tune
Nope.
with Competition Corner at the start?
You say that again, you'll be hearing from my lawyer, Sunshine. All right.
I'm pretty sure it was Deck the Halls, the well-known Christmas thing.
I think you're missing the point. We need to talk about Competition Corner. We have two prizes that we're giving away, don't we? Hot off the press, so hot off the press that it's not actually been printed yet, but a Jordan Rhodes, number 17, name and number on the back, Sheffield Wednesday shirt that is up for grabs. Now, this is via our website. It's thewednesdayweek.co.uk. Pop in your details. You go into the prize draw, and you get the great privilege of joining our mailing list as well. Although we don't actually have anything to send you, so don't worry too much about that. You'll go into the draw, and the reason that it's so hot off the press, it's not been printed yet, because you can choose whether it's the home or away shirt, and you can actually pick the size so that it actually fits you properly. Now, this is a good deal, because I've entered these kind of competitions before, and you realise actually they've just bought an extra large, because everyone can fit in an extra large. I'm a fairly small chap, and an extra large is a bit like wearing a dress for me, which is something that I stopped doing in my early 20s. So it's great that you get to pick the actual size of the shirt as well. So thewednesdayweek.co.uk. You've got until the end of the month, but the sooner you do it, the better.
Absolutely. And we have also teamed up with our friends over there at Cromwell Clubs to offer a lovely prize as well, which is one of their prints. And there's some cracking Sheffield Wednesday prints as well. This is a Facebook-only competition, so pop over there to our Facebook page, and you can enter that little comp over there as well for a lovely little print to slide onto your wall and make your house look beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. So please do, yes, it was much fun, all this competition, Malarkey, isn't it? It's all very exciting, boys and girls. It's lovely. Right, do we have any other little bits for this evening, chaps?
Just one other thing that I was going to mention, which is, again, it's about the Wednesday Week website, the wednesdayweek.co.uk. The blog section of that is starting to fill up quite nicely. There's some great stuff that you can read on there, including I threw together, in 20 minutes flat yesterday, I threw together my ultimate Wednesday 11, which with one rule, which is it can't include any players from the current team, so it's got to be ultimate Wednesday 11 of former players. So if you want to have a look at that, thanks to everyone that's tweeted with their versions, or just about everyone so far has included Kieran Westwood as their goalkeeper, obviously not taking any notice of the rules, you silly people, you. But if you do want to send us your ultimate Wednesday 11, then please do. And anyone that's interested in writing a blog for our site, don't worry, you don't need to be a proficient writer. You don't need to have ever done anything like it before. I'm quite happy to be on editing duty. I'll talk you through it and help you with it. Drop me a tweet and let's talk.
Absolutely. And luckily, can you actually now include Mr. Dielna into that squad if you'd like to, James?
You could do. Well, I did include Reader Johnson, which raised a few eyebrows. So maybe Dielna's going to go in, yeah.
You never know. And if people would like to contact you over there on the Twitter, James, to ask about your blogging adventures, where can we do that?
Well, they've got two choices. So they can either contact me via Twitter at James Marriott, or alternatively in the Riverside Cafe before and then again after the game against Birmingham, which will then be followed by something of a night out, which will include a few other fine establishments, working our way towards Kelham Island, where we're going to have a few drinks. So anyone that's up for making a night of it, drop me a tweet. That wasn't like some kind of sexual offer. Although, drop me a tweet. Let's talk.
Fudgy or Bean, if people want to see you over there on the Twitterage, where can we do that?
Well, you can find me at Dan Fudge on Twitter. I've been a bit quiet tonight, haven't I? I don't feel like I've done enough knob gags tonight. Although, if you do want to go on my Twitter, I've just, while we've been recording this, just drawn a cracking picture of Donald Trump that you might want to see on there. It's quite funny. And I've been drawing cock and bollocks on limes. But, yeah, at Dan Fudge on Twitter. Hit me up, fam.
Please do. I love Fudge's tweets. It's amazing. Mr. Ireland, old Bean, where can we get all of you over there on the Twitterage?
So obviously, you can get hold of me on the internet. I've been on the internet tonight, and I was looking at some important statistics. So I was transfixed by the Super Bowl this weekend, which for those of you who are traditional football fans will recognise as Americans basically having commercials with some hand egg in the middle. So I was transfixed by the Super Bowl. It was a very exciting game.
It was amazing. How good was Lady Gaga?
She was incredible. And you know what? One of the best things that has happened is that her halftime performance has been made into a meme, whereby at the start of her halftime performance, she jumped off the roof of the stadium and kind of disappeared out of shot. And people have turned that into all manner of things, including Mick Foley from the WWF diving off the roof of a cage and smashing himself into pieces on a table. So, yeah, check out all of the Lady Gaga memes for a start. But I wanted to make it a bit more relevant to me. And so because we're talking about limes and lime porn, I wanted to work out what the impact of the Super Bowl and all of the people that are watching the Super Bowl has on a famous website. So I chose one at random, Pornhub. It turned out that during the Super Bowl, Pornhub suffered a 40% drop in traffic. So any of you that want to claim that people who watch NFL are wankers, basically that's the only evidence that you ever
Bravo.
need.
Oh, wow.
Bravo.
Anyway,
ladies and gentlemen, while you're listening there, you're listening to 2 days worth of gag preparation there. That is impressive.
That was
Edward.
the most
Kudos.
profound point that anyone has ever made on this podcast, ever.
the Wednesday week, we bring the stats, we bring the news. Come at me, bro, at Sausage Arms on Twitter.
It's still crap, though, isn't it? Handball. It's just still crap.
You're wrong. This one was
I'll pay
brilliant.
you.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Of course, if you'd like to get hold of me over there on the Twitter, you can do that at Lord H. That's L0RD_H. Get on the podcast as well at TWWcast. Of course, you can catch up with us now on our fancy new website, thewednesdayweek.co.uk, and all the usual places, the YouTubes. And if you are looking at your phone, ladies and gentlemen, right now, click that little review button. It'll feel like a lime and everything, and leave us a little review. Help us spread the word, ladies and gents, and get our number out there as well. We'd be very much appreciated. It has been a pleasure, as always, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. Be good, be safe, and we'll see you real soon.
There's a chance here, a great save, a turner from McClare. Might come, a terrific goal by Shannon.
Brexman against Jones. Get in.
You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble saving that.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. Do that again.
Is Birmingham, if we say that this is one we should be winning, is Birmingham going to come and slap us in the face?
Blackburn.
Blackburn.
Birmingham or Blackburn? What day is it?
Blackburn.
You
Blackburn.
really weren't listening.
We're playing Birmingham, aren't we?
Yeah, we've got on to Blackburn.
We've moved past that. We're now on to Blackburn.
We're playing Blackburn. Is that on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Right. Okay. And what we're saying about it? Sorry, I really wasn't. I wasn't listening.
Keep this to the outtakes.
I'm trying to donate 20 quid to this guy, and it won't accept my chuffing card.